watching Street Workout Magazine.
My name is Danny Kavadlo. I was born in 1974 here in Brooklyn, New York.
Live and direct from
BK, that's the borough. As we see, give you what you need.
If you was born in New York City, let me say
I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
I was born in New York City.
Remember seeing Brooklyn go crazy? It's Brooklyn in the house.
As we see, to give you what you need.
What's up, Calisthenics world? Once again, it's Martin here for Street Workout Magazine, and I'm pleased to be here with the one and only Danny Kavadlo.
Great to be here.
Definitely, we're here in Brooklyn, Danny's backyard setup, and we're gonna get into some things. So you know, you're a pretty well-known figure in the calisthenics world, but for those who may not know, would you mind just kind of sharing with the audience your calisthenics story?
Absolutely. My name is Danny Kavadlo. I was born in 1974 here in Brooklyn, New York. I guess the first exercises that I did were calisthenics. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of Brooklyn that is pretty off the grid, that most people still, as Brooklyn has gained notoriety, most people still never heard of where I came from. And at the time, there was no fitness trends, there was no gym memberships or even team sports available. And I grew up in a household with two brothers, and we started doing push-ups. You know, the first piece of equipment that I owned was probably a pull-up bar. So around the time I was a kid, early teenager, it was push-ups and pull-ups. Later on it was dips. No squats yet at the time, but legs were somewhat lacking in my youth, which I hopefully have made up for by now. And it started out with calisthenics. It was just about working out, something to do, get strong, not get your ass kicked when you walked home from school. And it was later, when I was a teenager, I started lifting weights, started strength training in a more traditional gym type of workout. And it's funny, as the time has gone on, how it's come full circle, because at this point, it's very seldom I'll pick up a bar or pick up a weight. Most of my training, 99% of my training, consists of bodyweight strength training. Calisthenics, bodyweight, call it what you will. It involves you using nothing more than your own body and the environment around you to stimulate your mind, stimulate your body, and get results. So that's pretty much my journey as it comes to calisthenics. It's something I've always done since I was a kid, and it's something I never stopped doing. You know, there's a lot of talk about the calisthenics movement, which I'm thrilled how popular bodyweight strength training has become. But in reality, this stuff that's being heralded as a movement has been around forever. Yeah. You know, the modern gym itself is an invention of the 20th century. But we've been using nothing more than our bodies and what's around us to get strong since the dawn of humanity.
Definitely.
So I'm thrilled to see this resurgence, but I call it a resurgence rather than something new, because the stuff has been around longer than barbells, longer than kettlebells, longer than sandbags, longer than gyms, longer than any of this stuff. And the truth is, anything that anybody's doing to get strong is a good thing, and I'm a big supporter of it.
Definitely, yeah. So all of it's better than sitting on the couch and doing nothing.
That's right.
So now when you because you had mentioned that you went from calisthenics then into weight training and then back into calisthenics. When you were getting back into calisthenics, when you were older, was there anybody that inspired you? Was there any calisthenics inspirations that you had at the time?
Well, just to be clear, I never stopped doing calisthenics.
Okay.
Even when I was lifting and got into strength training, I always did my push-ups, my pull-ups, my dips.
Okay.
So even if I was 22 years old and I was getting my bench press up, or you know, standing in the mirror looking at my bicep curls, I was still doing pull-ups, I was still doing push-ups, I was still doing dips. So the calisthenics never left. I added to it, and then the more far along in my fitness journey that I went, the more I returned to the basics. But as far as people that I look up to, you know, there's so many amazing practitioners of street workout these days that I could go on, and I'm sure your viewers could go on about some of the prominent names. But really, the people that motivated me are probably the people no one ever heard of. I remember in 2005 or 2006, the first time I ever saw a one-arm pull-up in person. I met this guy, Shay, at Tompkins Square Park. He's got no YouTube channel. He's got no Instagram account. I just met this dude, and he told me he could do a one-arm pull-up. I didn't believe him, and then he did it. Now this dude inspired me. This dude who no one ever heard of, he inspired me. My friend Bob over at the park, he's maybe 65 years old. He's doing muscle-ups. He's doing muscle-ups in the park. He's doing back levers. He's doing elbow levers. So he inspires me. And while I could certainly go on and on and on about the many, many inspirational figures I've been lucky enough to view on YouTube and some that I've been fortunate enough to meet in real life, you know, the guys that inspired me back then, there's nobody anybody ever heard of.
So within the calisthenics movement, there's kind of this big divide right now between the guys that do freestyle calisthenics and then kind of the more traditional reps and sets guys. So I wanted to see if you give your opinion on that.
As far as reps and sets goes versus moves, you know, there's virtue to both of them. I certainly come from a discipline where I value those reps and those sets. You know, when I was growing up, we had push-up contests on the floor. That's what we did. You know, we had pull-up contests. I certainly believe, you know, don't show, like they say, you know, don't show me your moves till I see your reps. I feel like a baseline in the basics is a solid foundation to have, but that's me, and I respect where anybody is coming from on that. If your passion is freestyle calisthenics or parkour or any type of movement-based thing rather than sets and reps, I encourage you to explore your passion and to find that works best for you. You know, not everybody feels exactly the same way I do about everything. And when I was younger, maybe I thought everyone should feel exactly the same way as I do about everything. But I don't feel that way. And I feel like it's a big, bold, beautiful world. And why say or do anything that detracts anybody on the road to self-improvement or fitness? There's room for all of us here. And we're all doing a good thing. And like you said, united under the bar, man. We talk about like what we as a culture do. And one of the things that, you know, people in fitness and people in everything do is we have this great tendency to want to over-compartmentalize things. This is freestyle, and this is strict, and this is a skill, and this is strength, and this is a trick. And it's like, you can't fake the funk, right? You got to put the time in. You know, people ask me, people that don't actually do it, of course, they ask me, it's like, okay, I want to train for strength, or I want to train for skill, and it's really not, or I want to train for tricks, and it's really not that divided. It's like, show me someone who can do 30 strict pull-ups, and I'll show you someone with a clean muscle-up, you know? So show me somebody that could do an ill front lever and hold it, and I'll show you somebody that can do a good human flag. You know, these things have a great overlap.
So I know you have a few books out, and you know, I kind of want to just talk about a little bit about that. We'll start with your first book, which was Everybody Needs Training, and I just want to say that, so I think Everybody Needs Training is such an important book in just the general fitness realm, not even calisthenics, because there's a lot of material for trainers that's like technical, like anatomy and whatnot, but I can't really think of anything in that space where it actually gives real, no nonsense, like this is what it's like to be a trainer, and these are the things that you need to know to be a good trainer. So kind of if you just want to get into that and talk about how that started and all that.
Everybody Needs Training is a very, very unique book. You know, when I started out as a professional fitness trainer, there was a lot of information available, like you said, anatomy charts and VO2 max and an ACE certification or a NASM certification or this or that, very technical things. And while these things are necessary oftentimes to get employed by a gym, they really don't make a difference when it comes to your actual caliber as a personal trainer. You know, some of the best trainers I've ever met in my life have never even been certified, but They know how to train people. They know how to motivate people. They know how to give people a workout they can't do without them and how to keep that person coming back. And that's essentially what a personal trainer's job is. Ultimately, getting that person results and ultimately making a living doing so. You know, you want to affect change in people's lives, you want to build up your client base, and you want to have a mutually rewarding relationship. You could study anatomy charts all day, and that's not going to happen. So when I started out as a trainer, and just to give a little bit more background, I've had a lot of jobs in my life. I was a security guard, I was an exterminator, I used to play in bands, I used to do production work, I used to be an MC for spring break events. Make some noise! I used to do a lot of things. This one's easy to believe. I was a clown at kids' parties. That's not too much of a stretch. Now, when I became a personal trainer, it's right around the time that my son was born. And just prior to doing so, I was fully employed at an event marketing company doing liquor promotions. And it wasn't the most noble job to have. At that time, a few people in my life had urged me, just become a personal trainer, just become a personal trainer, just become a personal trainer. And then finally, when my son was born, I listened. So here I was, I'm 31 years old. Now, I had been working out for 20 years, but I had never been employed as a fitness professional before. So I was lucky to have a few good mentors. And what one of my mentors told me is, there's two things you're going to really have to do. You're going to have to learn how to be a trainer on the books so you can get a job, and then you're going to have to forget all that stuff and just learn what it really means to be a personal trainer. So I started working as a trainer. I was 31 years old. I mean, I had other people working in the same gym I was at. They were 18, 19, and they were also entry-level junior trainers just like me, except I had a mortgage and a kid and all these things in my life, so I could not afford to not be successful. So within a few months, I went from being this entry-level junior trainer to being one of the top trainers at that gym. And a few months after that, I was actually promoted to being the personal training manager for that gym. Here I was, I'd been there for 1 year, and now the other 20 trainers who were there for longer than me, I was all of their bosses, and I was hiring them, and I was firing them, and I was teaching them how to be a successful personal trainer. So, when I put this book together, this is the book that was missing when I started out as a personal trainer. Everyone was talking about technical know-how and charts and graphs and things like that, but no one was giving the real information of how to be successful, how to affect change for your clients, and how to make money doing so. And at the end of the day, that's something we have to do. If you want to seek a career in anything, you got to get paid.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't invalidate your passion or your commitment to being a trainer. It just allows you to be able to devote more time to it. So everybody needs training is the real deal. The straight dope on the real business of the personal training industry and how to be successful at it. It's a book that had to be written. It's a book whose time had come. And since that book has come out, I've gotten so many letters and emails from personal trainers that tell me that it's changed their lives.
So the next book that you put out after that was Diamond Cut Abs. So you want to just tell us a little bit more about the thought process that went in behind that?
Absolutely. Diamond Cut Abs, again, is my take on abs training. Now here's the thing. A lot of people are very, very quick to decry abs training. They're very, very quick to say, it's all about functional fitness, which it is. It's all about full body strength, which it absolutely is. It's all about being able to maneuver your body through the environment, and why put emphasis on any one given particular area? Well, here's why. We live in a culture. We live in a society where there is a lot of emphasis put on that. So, if I'm looking at a movie poster, chances are the person in that movie poster has a six-pack. If I'm looking at an album cover or music video, I'm looking at a sports broadcast, we have a cultural tendency to zone into this. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I'm not a sociologist, I couldn't tell you. I could only tell you, as a citizen of the world, sometimes that is people's motivation to get into fitness.
Absolutely.
So, why did I write the book? Did I see an overcrowded marketplace and say, yes, I need to get a part of that? Well, not exactly. I just saw something that I felt I need to address in my realistic way of approaching it. And the truth is this, people are going to get into fitness based on abs training, and hopefully we could show them that the abs is just a part of the body. And even in that book, I say, hey, don't just train your abs. You gotta push, you gotta pull, you gotta squat, you gotta do your pull-ups, you gotta do your push-ups. That's a recurring theme throughout the entire thing. And anybody is gonna sell them short if they focus on only one part of the anatomy rather than the whole thing. That being said, do we have the tools to get a shredded six-pack for the summertime? Absolutely. So I decided to put it down in diamond cut abs. And a great deal of the book, something the book has been applauded for, as well as criticized for, is that the first, 70 pages of the book, I don't even talk about exercise. What you put in your body is going to have a very, very big impact on what your body fat is. And no matter how big and strong and muscular you are, no matter how ripped that six-pack is or how big those cubes are, if your body fat is not low, you're not going to see it. But in a way, you can't even fault the mainstream for thinking that there's a hidden secret, because we're constantly bombarded with this stuff. You know, you open up a magazine, Men's Health or whatever, it's like 4 tips to get shredded for the summer, or here's the 5 exercise for big biceps, or eat these 5 superfoods. And it's like, we're bombarded with this misinformation all the time. So it's good, like you're saying, and like I'm saying, and how a lot of people out there are finally starting to acknowledge the stuff takes time. It's not an overnight transformation, and that's a good thing.
All right, so that brings us to your most recent book, which is Strength Rules. So let's get into that one.
Strength Rules, man. You know, it's funny because after Diamond Cut, I started getting a lot of inquiries from people who love Diamond Cut abs, and they thought it was very life-changing, especially the lifestyle and nutrition aspects of the book. But they were coming at me and they're like, well, what about full body? You know, what about the rest of the body? And I had this idea to write this book that was just a full body calisthenics bodyweight training book. And as my life evolved and as things started unfolding in my life, I went through a few personal things that really tested my strength. Not just my physical strength, I was still good at pull-ups, but my emotional strength and my commitment to life and my commitment to health and my commitment to moving forward and persevering in life despite any obstacles that are thrown at you. And I realized at that juncture in my world that writing a book about physical strength or muscular strength or even body weight strength really wouldn't be enough. I was going to have to write about emotional strength, mental fortitude, and spiritual endurance. You know, walking through different obstacles in life, walking through the fire, and coming out stronger for it. Not just in spite of it, but because of it. You know, we are all faced with obstacles in our life that could break us, that can destroy us. But when we take these obstacles and we don't let them knock us down, or we don't let them knock us down for too long, and we're able to harbor them and grow from them and come back stronger because of them, that's the true manifestation of strength. So while Strength Rules is without a doubt an incredibly comprehensive body weight strength training book, it's got over 80 exercises in it, divided into squat, push, pull, flex, bend, extend, all the basic movement patterns. Strength Rules also talks a lot about mental endurance, spiritual endurance, and getting stronger despite anything that's thrown at us. And I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful. That book has been extremely well received by a lot of people, and I'm really delighted that it's had that impact on people, because like I said, I felt compelled to write it from a personal level, because I was going through things in my life that would have chewed me up and spit me out as a younger man. And luckily, I had the strength from forces around me, and I had the strength from within to rise above and come out stronger because of it. So Strength Rules, it's strength in all its forms.
All right, favorite calisthenics move?
Human flag.
Most challenging move for you to achieve, that took you the longest to achieve?
One arm pull up. Took me 7 years, and I've only done it from a dead hang twice.
Move that you're working on right now?
I just want to get better at everything.
Move that you can't do right now that you would like to someday?
The planche!
Yeah, man, that's me too. The planche is like elusive. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I agree.
Make that the answer for the question before, too.
Most popular move that people ask you for your advice about?
Muscle up.
Spread love, it's the Brooklyn way.
The Brooklyn way, Brooklyn, the Brooklyn way.
Spread love, it's the Brooklyn way.